the Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another show of the Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and with me, as always, is my buddy Link.
What's going on, guys? Good to see y'all again. Same spill as always. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. We want to see you guys however we can see you, but this is the first week I'm saying it. We want you on YouTube, so hit up that YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to there. That's the best place to get our content, but let's jump right into this.
Yeah, and we have a special guest with us tonight. Very pleased to have him on the show. Titans Rossi from the Titan Upload Network. Welcome, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. It's been a little while, but yeah, man, I'm excited to be on the show. The free agency tampering period starts, I believe Monday is when, we're going to start getting tweets from Adam Schefter and all those people on Twitter and all that stuff letting us know who's going where and the early signings. So draft coming up. There's a lot going on right now. Finally, we have some stuff to talk about, which is nice. So
that is exactly right, man. The last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I've talked about rookies and, combine prospects, all this stuff. And I keep saying, I know it ain't much to talk about right now, but what else is there to talk about? I mean, it's a bunch of speculation, but I mean, we got to talk about something. So, but tonight, yeah, we're going to talk about some free agents, some surprising cuts out there, in my opinion. Couple players the Titans might want to really eyeball kind of hard. So we're going to go by positional players. And we're going to start with safeties because I have this horrible habit of saying free safety instead of free agents. I'm sure I'm going to slip up at some point tonight and say it, but for right now, I'm just going to try and get the safeties out of the way so it's out of my brain. Lots of free safeties. My goodness. Lots of safety free agents in this pileup. A lot of them got cut, man. $104 million worth of salary got cut in the NFL yesterday or over the last 2 days. But honestly, none of them really tickle my fancy. God, that sounds awful. Except Jamal Adams. And I know a lot of people are going, why would you get Jamal Adams, man? We already have a strong safety, but that's not really true in my opinion. I think Amani Hooker plays like a free safety. And I think Jamal Adams would be a really good addition. He's a thumper, 27, probably get him for like $3 to $6 million over 3 years. I think it's a really friendly contract to us. Any other safeties out there y'all want?
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. One guy I was really hoping to kind of lock down would have been Al Duggar. Unfortunately, he was put on a transitional tag by the Patriots, so I don't think that's going to be a big possibility. Another guy to keep an eye on, super underrated. I mean, even at this point in his career, he's underrated. But Cameron Curl out of Washington, drafted as a 7th rounder, but I mean the guy's got first round talent. He was one that kind of came out, and I really liked the tape that he had out there, and I'm kind of surprised Washington let him go. The only thing that concerns me a little about him is I think he's wanting more money than what Washington was willing to pay, and you've got Washington who's got kind of a huge cap right now. So that I feel like the fact that they weren't able to work something out kind of tells me that he's looking for a higher price tag. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that Amani Hooker has all the talent in the world. I do think he needs somebody around him that can make him better. But the big thing for me is going to be cornerbacks. I feel like if you can get that cornerback position worked out, that's going to free up your safeties like Amani Hooker to do a lot more. So not hugely sold on a lot of the safeties coming out, but definitely need to look at some of these corners. And we'll get Rossi's idea on that, but curious to see what he thinks.
Yeah, and shout out to TA. I saw him in the chat there. But yeah, I mean, as far as Jamal Adams goes, I know Teron Davenport post, I had to pull it up, but Teron Davenport posted it was a few days ago, March 5th, in 2017. Jamal Adams was an all rookie safety with the Nard Wilson as the DV coach, and went second team all pro in 2018. So, there's a history there with Denard Wilson, which is always a good thing, too. But yeah, safety is the one position that I have done like the least study on so far this offseason, just because it's like it's that position that, and really we probably need help there too. I mean, as far as that goes, we need somebody to complement Amani Hooker. We were kind of lacking there, but yeah, I mean, the cornerback position is obviously a big area in need. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest area needs on our team right now, because obviously Christian Fulton is not going to be back, and I don't know. I mean, a lot of those big guys out there, Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed, are signed. A lot of people have talked about them trading for L'Jarius Sneed for a second round pick. And I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on that. We talked about it last night on my show. I don't know if I'd give up that value right now, just because the draft is so stocked right now with cornerbacks, tackles, and wide receivers.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could potentially get two really good guys for those first two picks, who knows if they'll be as good as L'Jarius Sneed, of course, but I don't know, man. I just think that second round pick this year is so valuable, considering we don't have a third.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And what sticks out to me with what you said there was the Titans kind of going into this offseason. What they have a lot of is cap space. What they don't have a lot of is draft capital. And I don't feel like they're in a position to start giving up draft capital, giving up second round picks for players like L'Jarius Sneed, when you've got other people like Kendall Fuller, Chidobe Awuzie. I mean, you've got other guys that are free agents, and you got enough guys in the draft that I feel like you can get a high quality cornerback without giving up a second round pick. So I'm 100% with you there. I think there's other teams that would consider giving up a second for him. I just don't think the Titans are that team, and I don't think I wouldn't be happy with that as a Titans fan if Carthon made that deal.
To be honest, I couldn't answer it any better than you guys did. I agree with you both. Not enough draft capital to be making a trade like that. Somebody threw out the idea of us swapping first round picks and then send it kind of like the Bengals draft. I ain't swapping all the way down to 32, but man, that doesn't fly with me. So
yeah,
I agree. Not enough draft capital to bring that up. I didn't know about the Davenport post though. That is really cool. I had no idea he even played with Wilson, to be honest. I just thought he fit well with the team and what we had. So, and he's youngish. So, yeah, that's honestly really cool. And now I'm hoping even more that we get Jamal Adams. Another one I forgot to mention was Geno Stone, and I did know he played with Wilson, and probably had his best year under Wilson, or undoubtedly his best year. So I wouldn't mind him, but I'm not going to pay like a huge amount for it. But a lot of people are talking about Patrick Queen. I've got him later on the list, and a lot of people are talking about him getting a big payday and all this stuff. And I mean, I like the idea, but I'm not going to give the dude a huge payday. To be honest, I think Azeez Al-Shaair is just as good or better, and he's going to be cheaper anyway. So, what do you guys think about the linebacker situation?
No, yeah, I'm with that to an extent. Here's what I like about Patrick Queen. I feel like, and we've talked about it on the show before, I love Azeez. And I still think that Azeez, I think they can get it financially worked out. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's hitting free agency. I think that they can get something worked out. But I feel like that combination, if you can go get a Patrick Queen and pair him with an Azeez, I feel like that combination is just absolutely dangerous. I mean, you're talking about a guy, he is one of, I had this written down somewhere, he is one of 6 linebackers with 450 plus tackles and 10 plus sacks in the last 4 seasons. And he did that in the first 4 seasons of his career. So, I mean, this guy, he's got juice in the tank, and I feel like pairing him with somebody like Azeez kind of takes you to that next level at the linebacker position. I feel like you're pretty good up front. They might add an edge. They might add an interior lineman if Danico Altria doesn't work out. But what they really missed last year, what stood out to me, Azeez did a great job, but he was having to do a lot because he didn't have that sidekick next to him that was able to pick up some of the slack. So to me, I feel like Patrick Queen is almost a perfect person for that position where they can feed off each other, because then you've got 2-3 down linebackers that can come out every time and make plays. So for me, Patrick Queen right now, if we're not talking about receivers, he's kind of one of the guys that's at the top of my list personally.
What do you think about that, Rossi?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Queen would be an awesome addition. On PFF, they have him projected as a 4 years, 18.13 average a year. So, I mean, he's going to cost a lot of money. It's $50 million guaranteed, $72.5 million total. But man, I mean, to pair him with Azeez, and I agree with you. I mean, I think Azeez, I think he's a good player. I think is he like a top 10 linebacker? I would say he's right on the tail end of that. As far as like an inside linebacker, I mean, his play proved that, I think, last season. So, I mean, if you pair him with a guy like Patrick Queen, man, you're talking about a heck of a to an interior linebacker situation right there. I guess the main question is, I mean, the Titans have so many holes. How much can you afford? If you get a guy like Patrick Queen, then are you taking away from, maybe, cornerback? What do they value more is basically what it's going to come down to for like Rand Carthon and Callahan, and who they're going to sign, and are they going to make because I think Patrick Queen would be that would be a major pickup, obviously.
Yep. No, I agree. And there's another guy while we're on the linebacker position. If you want to go a little bit cheaper route, but you still want to get a high quality guy, if that's kind of the direction they're looking to go, there's a guy in Seattle that's becoming a free agent. Jordan Brooks, 26 years old. He recovered. Yeah. He had that quick turnaround from the ACL surgery. I mean, he tore it in like week 17. He was back by week 1, just put up career highs in pass rush and pass coverage. So to me, that's kind of another guy that you could pair with Azeez if you wanted to spend money on other positions. Of course, tonight and at this point in the offseason, we're kind of putting together a wish list. I mean, nothing's going to be finalized. I mean, everybody's kind of talking. So when you're looking at top tier interior defensive linemen, you're looking at guys like Patrick Queen. If we're getting a little more realistic and we're trying to fill other gaps, I'm looking at a guy like Jordan Brooks and saying, hey, that's somebody who can come in, make an immediate impact. He can pair well with Azeez. 26 years old, he's got some things to learn. He's not perfect, but it fills a need at that position and still allows you to put money into other positions.
I want to throw a name out there. I'm just going to toss it out. If you guys don't like it, just throw it right back at me. It's cool. Jerome Baker, 27 years old. No? All right. That's cool. That's cool, man. All right. So we're moving on from that.
I don't know much about Jerome Baker, to be honest. I really couldn't tell you. Like, the only thing I know about him is, what I read online. I haven't really seen much of his play or, watched him. So I'm not sure.
He's pretty quick to the ball. He plays sideline to sideline, much like Aziz or Patrick Queen. We're pretty much, talking about the same type of player.
What's
his? Oh, go ahead, man.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Go ahead.
His passing is his pass defense ability needs to be improved. I'll say that. He's not the best at pass defense, but neither really is Aziz. I mean, he's still pretty darn good. He had 2 amazing breakups this year. I got to give him props on that. Even though one he just kind of lucked up because he smacked it, wasn't even looking, but still a good play. But yeah, there's still a little bit to be desired there. So same thing with him. It's much like Aziz or Patrick Queen. He's just another linebacker that's quick to the ball.
See, and I'm kind of on the flip side with him. Watching some tape, I feel like his coverage skills are actually kind of his strong suit. I've seen him miss a lot of gaps. That's what kind of scares me with him. He's coming off a wrist injury. I don't know how that's going to affect his pass coverage, if it's going to affect it at all. But I feel like I've seen him miss too many gaps in the run game, and it seemed like the Titans struggled with that last year. And we don't know what's going to happen with Danico Autry. We don't know what that line up front is going to look like just yet. And that's what kind of scares me on him. He's got great pursuit speed, and he's got the ability to keep up with some of the tight ends in this league. But just watching him miss gap after gap, that's what kind of scared me with him. You can be a quick runner and still miss the running back. That's
true. Yeah, you can run right into somebody. I've seen it a lot.
Yep. Any other linebackers that stuck out to y'all?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can think of, really.
I mean, there's some good outside linebackers that are like rush specialists, but I don't really think that I don't want to spend the money on that. I mean, there's a couple edge guys that I would be interested in, but not really.
So when we're talking about up front, any defensive linemen, and you mentioned kind of outside linebackers, because I'll just say there's one defensive lineman that if I had a wish list, if I could get Christian, now this depends on what happens with Danico Autry, but I feel like if you could get Christian Wilkins in here out of Miami, he's becoming a free agent. I don't know that Chris Jones, I would be surprised to see them not work out a deal in Kansas City. But if you could get a guy like Christian Wilkins, depending on what he's wanting as far as price tag, I feel like that would just be, if you had him, if you had Simmons, if you had Landry, I feel like that's just a very, very dangerous defensive line. Just curious on those guys' thoughts on that.
On who was it?
Christian Wilkins out of Miami.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Wilkins would be a pretty good pickup. I mean, and the thing is too with Danico Autry, I mean, he's getting a little long in the tooth now. I mean, he's 34, but he's still productive. I mean, he's still he's actually played his best ball the past couple seasons, really. I mean, out of him being in Indy and in Tennessee. But I guess the question is, are they gonna re-sign him? I don't know how much Autry, it says, let's see, Pro Football Focus says, and obviously this is not the end all be all, but I think they have a pretty good gauge on it. But a year, $7.25 million, I would spend that to bring Autry back, at least for a year. I don't know. I mean, and then say, bring in like a Wilkins or something like that too. I don't know. I would be down for that.
I would be okay with that. I'm not going to be against it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Or you could also, Clowney's a free agent. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't want to go through that experience again.
Come on.
And he actually played really well last year.
He did.
I know, but yeah, we're not doing that.
Like, come on, man.
Well, and I think we've got to remember too, when you're talking about these players, and we had some of these players that didn't work out in the system then, and I'm not saying it would work out now, but let's say the Clowney experience never happened, and we're coming into this year, we're coming in fresh. We saw the year he put up. You're coming in with a new coaching staff. You're coming in with a rejuvenated scheme, if you will. I feel like somebody like Clowney would work better in what the Titans are going to try to do next year than he did with what they were trying to do before, if that makes sense at all. I feel like some of these guys that haven't worked out in the past with this coaching staff could have worked out better.
Yeah.
That's why a guy like Christian Wilkins, I mean, he's high energy. He's going to talk the whole game. He's going to yap. I don't like that would have meshed well with a Mike Vrabel type character. I don't feel like that would have been a good locker room experience. I feel like they would have clashed heads a little bit, but now you've got this new coaching staff who's, a little bit younger, a little more rejuvenated, trying to move to kind of a new age of football, if you will. And I feel like now some of these guys that the league looks at as kind of divas, if you will, they could kind of fit into this system a little bit better than they would have in the past.
Do y'all remember it was a few years ago when we were pretty good then, when we had those few good years right before the last couple years, when we had always played, Kansas City tough. We beat them, they beat us. I can't remember. I don't think it was Chris Jones who talked a bunch of crap about us at the press conference. I think it was Frank Clark. I don't know if you guys remember that. And he was like on the podium and he was saying all this crazy stuff about the Titans. If that was Chris Jones, I don't want him.
I think it was. The more I think about it, I think it was Chris Jones. Yeah.
I want to say, I think it was Frank Clark, though, because I'm looking at Clark right now on Google, and I feel like I feel like I remember his face. I feel like it was him, but maybe it was Jones. I don't know.
Frankie's got my
Frank
back
Clark.
here.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
He said it was Clark.
It was Clark. Yeah. Epic rant.
Called us
after
a dirty
beating
team.
the Titans. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played dirty. I remember that now. It took me a minute. Now, the only lineman that I really would want us to go after, not that Wilkins is a bad idea, by the way. I don't want to take anything away from that. I actually like that idea, and I would go for that on a team-friendly deal. Although I don't know that he's going to really give a team-friendly deal. He's probably going to get a pretty big bag. But I like Emmanuel Agba. Is that how you say his name? Emmanuel Agba. So. I think that's right. He's an edge. I think he played for the Browns or the Bank. I don't know, man. Anyway, the point is, I've been watching tape a lot this week, and especially on the free agents, and that is one that I enjoyed. I like the way he played. He was very physical on the edge. Not like huge numbers. I think he had 9 sacks or 9.5 sacks, more than what we had on the other end, opposite Harold Landry. Not that Autry didn't give us the sacks in the middle, but I'm talking about on the other edge with Key. If we have somebody like Emmanuel Agba, then we can actually rotate him out with Key like we were, like Key really should be used. And then we got two fresh edges, or we can, where we can line up. Help me out here. What's his name? Weaver. On the other side. Yeah, rotate him and Harold Landry out. And then we actually have some fresh, hot edges that can come off the edge quick.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Oh,
go ahead,
I'm
Rossi.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Rossi. You're good.
Wilkins is a free agent this year. I mean, they didn't tag him, right?
Not yet. No. Well, no, they didn't.
No, tag's over. Yeah,
tag's over. They did not tag him.
Okay, all right. Yeah. He'd be expensive. Woo. But dang, he'd be good.
Yeah,
man. It'd be like.
I mean, he's one of the best. So I mean,
God, who was that when we had Hainsworth? Was it Brown? We had Hainsworth and Brown together. It was sick, dude. Or maybe that was Gerald Cake. Man, we've had so many good linemen, D linemen. It's really hard to remember. Yeah, we've been really blessed there. That's the
And
only place we've really been blessed.
and it's funny you said that, because that was kind of my comparison when it comes to somebody like Jarrell Casey and what he was able to do. I feel like that kind of is the Christian Wilkins type to me. But I would also be fine. Like, you've got people on the market right now that might be a little bit cheap, not that much cheaper, but you've got guys like Jonathan Grenard coming out of Houston. I mean, he absolutely tore the Titans up last year when they played. And you've got him in a position where he can line up inside, he can line up outside. And I feel like that's kind of a commodity that the Titans should be looking for, because I don't think Arden Key, he's not a 3-down outside linebacker. He's just not. You need a guy that you can bring in, line up in different spots, because if you start moving around Simmons and you start moving around guys like Grenard and you get somebody in there that you can keep the offensive line guessing, that's when you're going to see the most success, in my opinion. So, I mean, I didn't even really do that much research on him, just knowing what I know. But I mean, I think Grenard's kind of a good name to look at too, just because of what he's able to do. Because I feel like this scheme next year is going to be a lot of shifting on that defensive line. That's where they're going to find their most success.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind if they brought back Daquan Jones. I think it's his name.
Yep.
He played good for us on the inside and the outside. He was able to move to the outside or play the inside. Very athletic for his size. I think he just wanted a little more money than we were able to give, but I'm pretty sure he's a free agent this year. So I wouldn't be opposed if they let Autry go. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back on a team friendly deal or whatever, a less expensive deal than you would get, say, Wilkins for sure. More affordable option. I don't know. I just don't want to sink a whole bunch of money into our defensive line in the free agency, just because we got a pretty decent defensive line. I mean, we just need to plug a few people in there. It's not like we need to, go after a big time pass rusher. We have a big time pass rusher.
Right.
We got a game disruptor on the inside in Jeffrey Simmons. We've got a good rotational in Key. Yep. We got a decent rotational in Weaver. We could cut him and I wouldn't care. But
Landry had a hell of a year too.
He did.
That's what I'm saying. If he gets back to old Landry and we see like a 16 sack season from him this year, yeah, man, we'll be looking completely different.
I'm very excited to see what he does 2 years removed from that ACL. I mean, you really saw him come alive at the end of the season. If he can keep up that momentum and get back to where he was at before the injury, I feel like you're going to have a serious problem on that side of the defensive line for other teams. But yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think the biggest thing for me is getting the size right on that interior of the line, because we just saw them get burned time after time and time again last year in the run game. So yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about wish list. Would I love to have a Christian Wilkins? Absolutely. But if you can get somebody who can just hold up their side of that line and have some run stoppage ability, you've got other guys that can get to the passer. You've got Landry who can come around the side making swim moves. You've got Simmons who can come right up the middle. So yeah, you've got the ability there. You really just need that size, just that person who can hold their own in that run defense.
Yeah, totally agree, man. So as far as the rest of it goes, wide receiver, man, it looked so promising in the beginning, and then people started getting tagged and moved, and then we're left with the number one wide receiver option of Calvin Ridley, which I did pop off earlier this offseason and say I wouldn't mind getting him, but I think he's going to be paid more than he's worth. Not saying he's not worth a good check. I'm just saying I think he's going to get more money than he's probably worth. If it was me and I was the head cheese and I wanted Gabe Davis is another one I think is going to get paid more than he's worth. I would go with Hollywood Brown.
Absolutely.
I know his catch radius has gone down over the years. He hadn't stretched the field like he did in the first season or two, but I think when you pair him with an offensive mind, you obviously Levis is going to be letting that ball fly deep on the routes this year. So I think he fits really well, especially when you got DeAndre Hopkins on the other side, which is kind of completely opposite of what he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I really like Marquise Brown. He's probably my number one choice right now. I do agree with you on the Gabe Davis thing. given he's averaged more than 15 yards per reception in every season that he's played, but he also may not even show up on the box score. So just a lot of inconsistencies in Gabe Davis. That's kind of a turnoff for me. I feel like you need somebody who can go up and play consistent football. I mean, we're talking about the Traylon Burks. We're talking about the Kyle Phillips. I mean, I do not want another inconsistent wide receiver wearing a Titans uniform. So, yeah, I mean, Hollywood Brown, he's definitely up there for me. Another guy I've got my eye on, I know T. Higgins is gone, but there's another Cincinnati player coming out in Tyler Boyd. And, I mean, I feel like he's more of a slot threat than he is an outside threat. And I do think you still need that outside threat to pair with DeAndre Hopkins. But if you could get a good slot guy, and I really hate to say this, I can't believe I'm saying this. If you decide to go one more year with the Traylon Burks experience, and you've got a good slot guy that you have in Tyler Boyd, and then you kind of need to mix and match that, and maybe put Boyd outside, maybe put Kyle Phillips back in the slot. I don't know how they would work that, but if all these names start going off the board, and you start drafting a wide receiver in the 3rd and 4th round, I think the Titans are in a position where they can get somebody like that and run through another test year. And as much as I hate to say it, I'd rather have a good slot guy than pay somebody on the outside for another 3 years that's going to be inconsistent. That's just the way I feel about it. I would rather see them develop a wide receiver than I would get an inconsistent guy that they signed to a 3-year contract, and then you're left with another Traylon Burks, in my opinion.
Right. I really like the idea of Tyler Boyd. I mean, you know, for the pure fact, he is a good player. And you know, he's also got the history with Brian Callahan. But it all depends on the draft. Like, you know, I think what I would love the Titans to do is if Alt or Fashanu are there at 7, I think it's worth taking either or. Now, a lot of people have put Talise Fuaga ahead of Fashanu, which I don't see that. Seeing Fashanu now, he got hurt at the combine. He tweaked his hamstring or something. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but just looking at him, dude, he just looks the part. And I think, is he as good as Alt at that position? I don't know. But I think he is. I think he's worth it. I think he's almost on the same level of Alt. Maybe not as good. He's not. I mean, Alt is that step above. But I don't know, man. If Fashanu's there, I just feel like the Titans should go with the tackle there. And then you could, talking about wide receiver in the 2nd round, I think there's going to be a lot of guys over there in the 2nd who could be like good players. But I don't know, man. It just depends on what they do in the draft. But yeah, I mean, a guy like Tyler Boyd, I'm sold for Marquise Brown too. I think that would be a great addition for the Titans. I really do, with what Callahan has planned. You know, I mean, you see how he uses receivers in Cincinnati, and if you're a Titans fan and you're not excited about that pure aspect alone, like, I mean, that's what us Titans fans have been yearning for.
Yes.
Is like, come on, man. Like, can we get that type of, like, some motion, some play like that, man? It's like, and I hope it pans out. I really do, you know, with Callahan and what he's got coming.
Yeah, and you mentioned the draft, and I saw, the only reason I bring it up is because I saw it in the comments. Somebody mentioned Xavier Worthy, and it really upsets me because when you're talking about wide receivers, I really thought that would have been a huge steal in the 2nd round. But with him breaking that 40-yard dash time, with him breaking that record, unfortunately, I feel like he's gone in the first. I think that really upped his draft stock, just seeing what he's able to do on the field. But yeah, I'm with you. I feel like there are going to be some good guys there in the 2nd, and if something like, you know, if something like Marquise doesn't work out and you do fall to like a Tyler Boyd, I still feel like you can draft 2nd round, get a good quality wide receiver, and roll with what you got starting next year.
I agree with that. And I think we should get a good FA pickup, even if it is Boyd or something like that. But to counter that point, I will say I've been kind of out on Treylon Burks for a while.
Yeah.
I had a guy come at me on Twitter not too long ago and actually made a pretty decent argument. He said, go back to the first year of Burks. Look at his stats. When they run him in the slot, he actually produces. And he does. You go back, you look throughout the 2 years that he's got. When he lines up in the slot, he actually plays better. He does. He gets free somehow. I don't know. Maybe it's just a magical position for him. So I will say, if I'm one more year on the Treylon Burks experiment, I want him in the slot. So for that reason, Boyd doesn't really work for me too great. Although I'm not relying on Treylon Burks, so right. I don't mind to bring Boyd in. You know what I mean? And having an abundance of wide receivers that can catch the ball decently is not a bad thing. So I don't mind bringing Boyd in and then try and, both see who wins out at camp and let them roll like that. However they want to bring Marquise Brown in too. Draft one in the second round as well. I want some wide receivers.
Yeah.
We need wide receivers. I swear, if we go, look, I was very impressed with Nick Westbrook-Ikhine this season and how he showed up. Kind of made me eat a little bit of crow, as a matter of fact. But I don't want to see him on this team again. I want to have wide receivers so good that NWI is not even an option for us because we have too much talent. Our seventh round or our eighth, whatever, way down the depth chart should be better than NWI. No offense to NWI. He's a good receiver. I'm just saying.
Yeah, people are kind of tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, and it sucks for NWI because he has been a good player, but NWI epitomizes the Mike Vrabel type of offense and mentality. And I think people, that's what people think about when they think about, that's what they're gonna think about when they think about NWI coming back. And it's probably a little unfair for him, probably. And I'm not saying, Maximus, I'm not saying like that's, what you got going on, because I feel the same way. You know what I mean? But I just, I would love, and now I know this is not going to happen because A.D. Mitchell showed out in the combine with like a 4.3. Shout out to the Texas wide receivers. They both showed out, Worthy and him. Yeah. But my God, man, if somehow A.D. Mitchell fell to the second round and we had already got like our tackle in the first, I would love to have that guy. I mean, the size, the speed, but, even guys like Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman is a guy that didn't have the 40 speed, but he had one of the highest, like, I can't remember what was the other. I want to say, I don't know if it was 3-cone or whatever else. Like, as far as his acceleration.
The shuffle. Yep.
Yeah.
The shuffle. He had one of the best shuffles.
Yep.
In the thing, and I think he's a guy that's underrated just because of his 40 time. But man, I mean, you got some options, dude. And yeah, I think poor NWI, man, like he's like got that. Oh, he's just one of those blocking wide receivers, and really, he's really not just the blocking wide receiver, but he might fare well on another team. Like
Absolutely.
He might excel on another team. Just like what's his name, and God bless Josh Reynolds. He really screwed up in the playoffs, but he did pretty well during the season. And another guy, what's the other guy? Khalif Raymond, who did well elsewhere. And I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. And to me, just like you said, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he's not that flashy player. I mean, he's not going to show up and burn somebody. He just shows up. And I mean, I feel like the people that still love NWI, I mean, I love NWI, but the people that are still there for NWI love him because of his consistency and his ability to stay on the field. Because we've seen Treylon Burks not be able to make it on the field. We've seen Julio Jones not be able to make it on the field. So the one thing that stands out to him is just his ability to show up every week and make plays. And that's something that we've been missing. But now I feel like where we're transitioning to, we need that speed guy. We need the burner. I mean, you've got DeAndre Hopkins. He's got the hands. He's got your outside the numbers threat. You need somebody who can get vertical because you've got a quarterback who can bomb it 65 yards down the field. You need somebody who can get behind that defense to be able to go down and catch those balls. So for me, I'm looking at the shuffle times. I am. I mean, I hate to say it because I know it's kind of I know it's an archaic kind of thing, but I am looking at the 40 times because you need somebody who can turn on the jets, who has a really good release, and get down the field. So for me, whether that's in free agency, whether that's in the draft, you've got to find speed at that wide receiver position, and that's again another reason that I really like Marquise Brown, and I love guys like Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, man. And just to throw out a couple of the draft, of course, if you watch my show on the regular, you already know I'm in love with Troy Franklin. He didn't really have a great showing at the combine, which I'm a huge fan of. Because for me, a lot of people were saying he was going, late first round. Now I'm hoping that maybe he does drop into the second round and maybe we can get him at 38. Because, man, kid is electric. Again, I don't care about pro days and 40 times and combine stuff so much as I do watching game tape. And you go back, you watch game tape, Franklin is it. He's it. He's got it. Another one I'm going to mention real quick is Devontae Walker. I guess Rossi was having some technical difficulties or just needed to run. I don't know.
Oh, we're good.
Or Xavier Leggett. Either one of those three I'd be super happy with in the draft. That's why I say, bring in Hollywood, bring in, let's get some options for them. Let them run as many options as they possibly can. Bring in as many wide receivers as you can. Speed is if you notice, all three of those guys I mentioned are like 4.5 speed or better, and that's what we're after. Speed, stretch the field, and get young.
Absolutely.
All right, now I'm going to stop talking about wide receivers. I'm going to talk about my last free agent that I really want the Titans to look at. And, man, I wouldn't care if we overpaid this guy. This is the one dude off the team that I would be happy to overpay him to come play for us. And that is Andre James from the Las Vegas Raiders, center. I know, underrated position, but think about it like this, guys. If we're going to get Fashanu or Alt in the first round at left tackle, and then we've got brain fart. What's our left guard's name? We just drafted him last year. Total brain fart.
Skoronski.
Skoronski.
Thank you,
Peter. Yeah.
Skoronski.
I do that too a lot. So don't worry.
So we've got Alt, Skoronski, and then we would have Andre James right in the middle. And that would be, let me tell you, Andre James is rated PFF one of the best centers in the NFL. I think he was rated at like number high 20s, maybe low teens, high 20s. So not great, like, oh my God, great. But hey, a lot better than Brewer.
He was ninth last year, according to PFF. So yeah,
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he had a pretty high pass block grade. I don't know about his run blocking ability, but I do know he had a high pass blocking ability. And that's really what we're looking for, ain't it? Mm-hmm. And then we could fix one whole side of the line, and they could re-sign Hubbard for maybe a year. I don't care if you throw Brunskill out there. Let Pete Ferrer go at it. Duncan, all those guys, let them kind of grow under Callahan. Daddy Callahan, not Callahan Jr. And,
yeah,
dude, then we have a great line. Or at least a really great left side of the line.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't agree with, or I don't disagree with that at all. I had two centers I liked. The first one was being Andre James. Another guy I'm keeping an eye on is Lloyd Cushenberry. Really like this guy, Lloyd Cushenberry. Came in at 2020 as a rookie, started pretty much immediately. Didn't take long before he was calling pass protections. He was kind of thrown to the fire, and I like that. I like that in NFL players because it's the quickest way to learn, in my opinion. He's not the best run blocking center, but he is the anchor when it comes to pass protection. And I feel like, again, we're moving away from the Derrick Henry age. We're moving away from the run first mentality. So both of those guys, the Lloyd Cushenberries, the James, I mean, both of those guys, when you're talking about pass coverage, which is what I feel like we need to fix the most, I'm good with either one of those guys. And Aaron Brewer, as much as I love the guy, I just feel like he doesn't have the size to be able to hold up against some of these high quality pass rushers. And that to me is kind of got me off the Aaron Brewer train and got me thinking more. And I'm going to say this too. I don't want to take an experiment at center. I know some decent centers in the draft, but for me, I feel like free agency is where the Titans have to find their center this year.
Yeah, I'm over the Aaron Brewer experiment. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who really like Brewer. Like, even some of these experts out there and stuff said he really played well, and Titans fans are a little too hard on him and this and that. But I mean, I don't know, man. When I use my eyeballs, like, I complained about Brewer all season long. Like, I was like, dude, he just gets whipped up front. Like, yes, is he athletic? Yes. Does he get down the field? Well, of course he does, because he's 275 pounds. I mean, he's slimmer than most any offensive lineman in the league that's starting. Like, that is unheard of in the NFL nowadays for a player that's under 280 to start. Now, they said he gained a little weight. I still think he was under 280. Because when he stood next to Derrick Henry, he didn't look much bigger than him. And it's just like, I'm over the experiment, man. I want a true center, somebody who's, just a bigger guy. And I agree with you on those guys you're talking about. Cushenberry, Andre James, I think would be a fantastic addition. I really do. There are some guys. There's a guy in the draft, Bo Limmer. Dude put up 39 reps on the bench press.
Yeah.
I saw that.
First overall by 7 reps, like the second guy. Now, I don't know how much that plays into how good you're going to be in the NFL at center. But he's a guy that's like a 4th, 5th round type of pick. I don't know if he would be a starter. But if he's there, you might take a shot on him. Now, I mean, obviously you can't bank on somebody like that to just like come in and start.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I agree, man. I think hit the road, Brewer. It's time to get a guy in there. But I've also heard people say that Aaron Brewer might be a guy that would fit well in Callahan's system. So who knows?
Look, if anybody can make Aaron Brewer a decent lineman, it's
Bill Callahan, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Bill Callahan could be the X factor in all this.
I will say this. He was terrible as a left guard.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he wasn't great as a center. I am like you. I am so done with the Aaron Brewer experiment. There are certain people, and I used to phrase them as J-Rob guys. These are J-Rob's guys. So Rand's gonna go in there and clean out. But as soon as we fired Vrabel, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm done with J-Rob. These are Vrabel guys, because it's not like they were like picked by Vrabel, but come on, man. Brewer. I don't know that Brewer is the starter if Mike Vrabel's not our coach last year.
Yep.
I definitely think that Daly wouldn't have stayed at left tackle the entire season of 2022 if Mike Vrabel isn't our head coach. Yep. The stubbornness by him was, I think, his biggest downfall, in my opinion. Player stubbornness, too. So I'm just kind of over a lot of these guys. Frankie said it earlier, or asked it earlier, if Farley was going to, make the team this year. And sadly, it doesn't pay to cut him, really.
No.
I think we save like 800,000 or something like that, but then we pay him like $1 million or so, and it's not really worth it to cut him. So probably, he probably makes a team simply because it's cheaper to keep him. It's like that old funny phrase you hear Southern people say, cheaper to keep her. It really is. It's cheaper to keep him. And who knows, maybe under Wilson, Farley finally flies. I don't think so. The man has had a lot of professional issues and personal issues I'm not going to get into. The guy has been through a lot.
Yep.
But as a person who looks at football talent and decides, whether I want that guy on my team or not, no offense, bro. Sorry you've had a rough patch, but you haven't produced anything since you've been on our team.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the guys, and I'm not going to kind of dive into it either, but that's a guy who I feel like really missed his window. I really do. I think he had a lot of talent coming out of college, but he's been out of the game for so long at this point. I just don't know that he could come in and make an impact. I mean, I feel like it would take him at least 2 to 3 seasons to really get back into football form, to where he's used to the practice and the games and the preparation. And so, yeah, I hate that. But like you said, I mean, could he be a guy that gets some opportunities and put some film on? I mean, maybe. But yeah, I mean, same thing with Aaron Brewer. I mean, just to kind of touch lastly on that was, I feel like he could fit into a scheme somewhere. It's just not what this Titans seem to be looking for. Could you put him in a shotgun, read option type of offense? Absolutely, because he's going to get to the second level. He's going to get to that linebacker spot and be able to throw a guy around who's a linebacker. But when it comes to what they're trying to do with the pass protection schemes, I just don't think he fits into this offense whatsoever.
I'll say this real quick. If Aaron Brewer doesn't make it on our team, which I kind of hope he doesn't, and if the Miami center is signed away from Miami, look for Miami to pick up Aaron Brewer, because that would actually be a good team for him. The way they slide their men across really fast or come out into the deep.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like he would fit really well in Miami. So if you're hearing this, Miami fans, don't worry about your center leaving, because Aaron Brewer's on the way.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, as much as I talk about Brewer, talk crap about him, I mean, the guy, you got to give him props for doing what he's done. I mean, he's become a starting, I would say, is he starting caliber? I don't know. But like you said, in the right scheme, yes, he is. So, you got to give props to guys like that. Guys like NWI, guys who have really kind of grinded their way and done some stuff. As far as Caleb Farley goes, I think he was kind of that J-Rob. We had drafted Simmons, I think the draft before or 2 drafts before.
Yeah.
I think it was the draft before,
Yeah,
but I
the
think
year before, and then we got Farley. Yeah.
I think that was the old J-Rob, like, haha, I can do it again. I'm going to get this, like, really injured player that's had all these back surgeries and see if we could do it again, take a shot. Obviously, it hasn't worked out. If anybody can do it, maybe Denard Wilson has, because, I mean, Denard Wilson has had some incredible secondaries out there. I mean, he has had a lot of really good, I mean, number 1 in the NFL, number 2 in the NFL, and all these different categories, type secondaries. And obviously that's super important, as far as that goes. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. As far as the Farley contract goes, is he worth a shot again? I would like to see what Wilson can do with him, but if it comes down to like keeping somebody who can really help the team and you're talking about numbers, then I don't know, maybe they do cut him.
Well, I mean, it's just like Rashad Weaver. I think we could save I think it's like $900,000 by cutting him. It's not really a reason to cut him, but I mean, we might, to try to pay our draft picks or something like that. I don't know. If we're trying to just make
a good depth piece. I mean, I think you can say Rashad Weaver. I don't know, man. I think you could say he's a pretty good depth piece, for that type of money, somebody you can throw in there. Is he a starter? No, but I think as a depth piece, he is. And it's like NWI, man. Like, he is meant to be a 4th or 5th wide receiver,
Yeah.
And he's been forced into being a number 2 role with us over and over again. And I just don't think that's, I don't know, man. I don't think he's supposed to be that guy. Well, like I said, poor guy. I mean, he's got to hear all the flack. Players listen to this stuff. Players look at their tweets. And if it doesn't prove today, Derrick Henry retweeting what Henry Gibbon Sunday on Twitter, like Sal had posted this thing. Poor Sal, he's always getting blasted on Twitter. Now he brings a lot of it on himself, and he'll tell you that too. And I support them guys a lot. But he had posted something about Henry not really caring, or if you think Henry cares about what you think, and I'm totally misquoting it or something like that. And then Henry Gibbon Sunday had posting this so Derrick Henry can retweet it, basically is what it is. And of course Derrick Henry retweets it. It's like, yep. I do, I love my time at Tennessee and blah, 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 which I thought was hilarious. So, but it shows you these guys do read their tweets. I had Taylor Lewan retweet something I posted a couple years ago, basically calling me out. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, these guys do look at the stuff that is being said about them. You better believe they do. Maybe some of them don't. I don't think a guy like, D-Hop, he retweets stuff too.
So absolutely, yeah.
He looks at it too. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but yeah, I mean, Farley, NWI, Brewer, these guys are kind of the last of a bygone era of the J-Rob type of mentality, and it's time for the Titans to freaking get with it, man.
That's right. Move on into the next generation of football. I'm happy to see changes no matter what they are, because God, we just got to do something different, right? Can't keep just banging your head against the wall and hoping something great will happen.
Mm-hmm. That's why Mike Vrabel doesn't have a coaching job. So
yeah, that is exactly why. By the way, I really feel like, and watch if I'm not right, because I love when I call these things out and then it happens. He's helping Ohio State right now.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose to Michigan, Mike Vrabel will be the coach of Ohio State in 2025. You watch my words and see if I ain't right.
That's bold. That's bold.
Because, I mean, think about it. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be the guy to pull in all the players, have all the roster say, and be the head. You do that. That is exactly what you do. So I think it fits. Plus, God bless, he was always talking about Ohio State. We know he's an Ohio State guy. Yeah. I just think it all fits, man, and it's just all too perfect. Things aren't a coincidence in our world. It just doesn't happen.
Fair enough. All right.
Any last thoughts, gentlemen?
Just a few more names. I'm not even going to touch on these. Just a few more names that I'm watching for just in case. When you're talking about running backs, obviously Tajay Spears, he's going to be the number one guy. Still think you've got to look for that third down, that short yardage and red zone threat. Look for names like Gus Edwards, A.J. Dillon, Zach Moss. These are kind of the guys that I'm looking at to pair really well with Tajay Spears. Obviously, Tajay Spears, I mean, if you can have him for 3 downs, you want him for 3 downs. When you get inside that 20, when you get to those 4th and 1s, that's when I'm looking at guys like that. 2 other guys, looking at offensive linemen, I'm looking at, I think it's Mickey Becton. He was the number 11 pick in 2020. Injuries just completely killed this guy, but he played a lot last year. He's 6'7", 363 pounds. When you're talking about offensive tackles, he's a guy that I'm looking at. And then lastly, one cornerback that I didn't get to touch on, Steven Nelson, 31 years old, out of Houston. He's played in multiple schemes. He's played at Philly, Pittsburgh. He played for the Chiefs. When we were talking about consistency earlier, this guy's played 950 plus snaps for 6 consecutive seasons. So that completely makes the Christian Fulton nightmares go away if you can get somebody like that. But just a few guys to keep an eye on, going into a time where you're going to start hearing some of these names, and those are some ones that I'm really looking for.
Man, I know you said you had to leave. I don't want to keep you on too much longer. You can roll if you want, but guys, you got to check out Titans Rossi, Titan Upload Network. If you don't know, get on Twitter, follow him, YouTube, their whole network, man. Nothing but Titans. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love it. Anything you want to talk about, man?
I appreciate that, man. And shout out to you guys. Follow these guys too. You know what I mean? And there's so many great content creators out there for the Titans. I really believe the Titans have more than most as far as content creators, because I've been on with a lot of other teams, like content creators and stuff like that. And the Titans have a lot, and I believe we're all very passionate about our boys in two-tone blue. So something about the Titans, and it's it's just something about it, man. It's something about this culture. I will say that that we do kind of want to move on into the new age, but we also want to keep that mentality of like we're gonna play to the last whistle. We're gonna beat you down. We're gonna be a little dirty here and there, and we are gonna run the football here and there too. I think that's something Titans fans we always want to kind of hold on to, but we also want to we want to get into this new age way of playing football as well. But I do appreciate you guys, man. I really do. One player that I want to throw out there that I really, really want. Now, I don't know if he matches. It might kind of be the same thing as Tajay, the same style. Jalen Wright from the Vols.
Yeah.
He's somebody that I really love, man. If you could get him in the 4th round or something like that, I think he's going to go before then. Now, I don't know if he really pairs up well with Spears, because you might kind of have a similar style as far as that goes, but he's a player that I really like. But anyways, I'll shut up, guys. I really appreciate you guys. This has been a great show. I'm sorry I got to get out of here, but tighten up, fellas.
Thank you, Titan Rossi.
Yeah, man.
See
you all next time.
That's a heck of a way to go out. Anytime we can get some big orange and some two-tone blue, I'm all about
that. All right, guys. I'll see y'all, fellas. Tighten up,
see
everybody.
You, man.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to do a quick any other players you want to talk about, Link?
No, I pretty much touched on my guys. I mean, obviously it's about to get real crazy out there with reports and unofficial meetings and who's buying houses where and all this kind of junk. So just stay alert, stay up to date with us, and we'll keep it covered as much as we possibly can.
I do want to do a real quick show and tell. We're only doing, I think, maybe 2 more shows, and then we're going to take a break until the draft, and then do a draft special, and then we're going to take a real break. But still doing show until then. Just want to show this off. If my cousin happens to see this, if she don't, I'll just clip it for her. This is a rock, by the way. It was hand painted for me by my cousin in 2018. Look at the detail on that. That is pretty slick. That's man. Awesome. Hand painted.
Yep. Jeez.
I don't know why I love a rock so much, but hey, she knew how to get me to have a rock, and it was to paint it with Titans on it. So
absolutely. Heck yeah. No, mine's pretty simple tonight. So, and I should have held this up before the show on camera to make sure I could get it all on camera, but I've got a flag. It is the McNair George when they were inducted into the Tennessee Hall of Fame, Forever Titans. It's got both of their numbers on it. So it was a gift to me. Unfortunately, I was not at the game, but it was a gift given to me, and I could not be more appreciative. And that's the thing to all the fans out there. Like the show and tell, the memorabilia, it doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't have to be about a signed jersey that I bought for $400. It's not about that. I mean, if it's a rock, if it's a flag, if it's a coaster, I mean, whatever it is, whatever makes you a Titans fan makes you a Titans fan. So for me, it's just I get more enjoyment out of sentimental stuff than I do expensive stuff, and that's how I've always rooted for teams. That's how I've always lived life. So anytime y'all want to share anything, pin us personally, pin us on the comments, pin us anywhere, because we love to see it. And we're all here for it.
Absolutely. That's why we started doing this segment, was to try to get fans to show us what you got. Show us the cool things you got. Show us the special things that mean the most to you. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but most of my items aren't signed. Like you said, they're the rocks, they're my scrapbook, stuff like that. My robe that my mom made me. I mean, there's all these things that mean a lot to me, but they're not worth anything. I mean, as far as monetarily, they're worth a lot to me, but that's what we want to see. What y'all got, man? Show us what you got. God bless. Every time I say that, y'all watch Rick and Morty. Every time I say that, I think of that stupid episode where the aliens come in. They're like, "Show us what you got." Sorry, tangent. Any final words or any final thoughts for you this week, Link?
No, again, I mean, we're going into a busy time, and then it's going to get real dead. I mean, it's just one of the things about being a football fan. But again, just stay up to date. Stay with us. Keep checking the socials. Keep tuning in. Like Maximus said, we might have a little bit of a break here and there when stuff slows down. But just know and feel comfortable knowing that if there's any breaking news, if anything happens, we're going to be right here for it and bring y'all the content that y'all deserve.
Absolutely, and if you're not following us, you should. Especially over the next week when big news breaks, especially if the Titans sign a big free agent, you better believe I'm going to drop a quick video talking about it. I'm sure Link will drop a video talking about it. So yeah, man, if you're not following us, you should. Titans Global Podcast, pretty much anywhere you get your social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. That's where we want you to go. Like and subscribe, please. And if you want to follow me, it's Maximus Titan Fan on Facebook and Twitter. If you want to follow my man Link Rogers, Facebook and Twitter.
Yes, sir.
We love having y'all out. Thank you for coming in. Again, Titans Rossi, I know you're not watching this, but thank you so much for coming on my show for the second time, man. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to have you on again. Until next time, folks, tighten up. Peace out.